Hello everybody and welcome back to Red Eagle Politics. Make sure you like this video down below and subscribe to the channel if you are new. So we had a very interesting night last night. Overall, a very good night for Republicans in most of these races out of Ohio. And yes, there were a couple more lower profile ones in Indiana. But it was overall a rebuke of the establishment. It was unfortunate that Mike DeWine won because of vote splitting, but you still saw him get below 50%. And now J.D. Vance won the Senate primary, outperformed all polling, all expectations out of the state of Ohio. And I really hate to brag, but we'll get to this later. But my predictions were pretty much on point for this as well. So we're going to talk about the results and what it actually means moving forward and analyze the maps in Ohio and see how well Vance did, where did these other candidates do well, just talk about the state of the party moving forward ahead of 2022. But first, I have to tell you guys about our very good friends over at Noble Gold. Now, it's time to set the goals for the next cycle of inflation. This way, you're always moving forward, growing, making money, not losing it. Imagine having more freedom and more fun. You could do so by starting a gold IRA with Noble Gold now to fight inflation. And this month, for every IRA above $20K, you'll get an incredible 3-ounce silver American Virtue coin completely free as a thank you. You can't go wrong with Noble Gold. Call 877-646-5347 now to find out more, or visit noblegoldinvestments.com. So J.D. Vance was somebody who, like I said, he had a little bit of a checkered past. He was somebody who was anti-Trump, but then he had a complete life transformation in 2018, converted to Catholicism, and he actually started to become more politically based, for lack of a better term. And he ran a campaign that was literally flawless. It proved all the doubters wrong, his biggest critics wrong, including myself. I ended up supporting him before the end because of this fact, and he did very well. And it shows that America First is a winning strategy. Vance opposed the current thing narrative regarding Russia and Ukraine. Josh Mandel, Matt Dolan, all these other people completely bought into it. And you see this. You have the old guard Republicans like Mandel who will attempt to grift off of the MAGA base. You have Matt Dolan, who is essentially worse than Rob Portman. You have Mike Gibbons, who thinks the middle class doesn't pay enough taxes. You have Jane Timken, who's essentially female Rob Portman, and shipped jobs overseas to China, defended Anthony Gonzalez's ridiculous impeachment vote of Trump for something that Trump did not even do. And then you had a couple of other candidates. But J.D. Vance proved all the doubters wrong. He proved the polls wrong. He outperformed pretty much all of them, I believe, including his own internal polls, which was pretty hilarious. And he did very well in the Trumpian part of the state, did very well in the Cincinnati area where he lives, in the suburbs there that surround it. He did very well in industrial Toledo, that basically the entire belt that you drive if you're driving from Detroit to DC, and he did well in a lot of the exurbs of Cleveland that are very white working class, a lot of the Obama, Trump counties there that really resonated with Trump's messaging regarding trade, regarding immigration, which Vance is very strong on that. He's open to an immigration moratorium, which is pretty huge. And we love to see that because we're actually moving the Overton window in that direction. And Vance is somebody who doesn't necessarily play these political games where he throws people that he might like under the bus just for a political gain. He said he would defend Marjorie Taylor Greene when she was under pressure from the media. And it really just proves that he is the real deal more so than originally expected, because you can't do that and say the things that he does in a lot of these establishment-controlled opposition, populist Inc. circles. But he did. He stood his ground. He never apologized for anything, and he took a third of the vote in Ohio last night, and you absolutely love to see it. And looking at my prediction, I had Vance getting 32.6% of the vote. He got 32.2% of the vote. I had Mandel in second and Dolan in third. I admit I did underestimate Dolan a little bit here, but at the same time, I had Mandel getting roughly 24.9%. He got 23.9%. So my predictions for the primary, where it was very hard to exactly pinpoint how certain candidates would do, we got it down completely correct. And Matt Dolan failed to do well in Hamilton County, which was very establishmentary, and Cincy, it's been, moving left, but Vance beat him in that county. He only won Columbus. He won Cuyahoga, which is where Cleveland is, and one suburban county east of Cuyahoga, but he barely won those counties. And Mandel, he did okay in the middle of the state. He won a few counties, but even so, Vance did not exactly get below, I think, 25% in any county, which was absolutely hilarious. Like, I think every single county he got at least 25% of the vote. And the counties that he did worse in were more establishmentarian, and Dolan did well. And the establishment, Bill Kristol, all these loser neocons rallied behind Matt Dolan, but at the end of the day, it didn't matter. Another thing to note is for the governorship race, which, I mean, the Democrats had their races, which there's really nothing to note there other than the fact that John Cranley did not do very well, despite being arguably the more electable candidate or whatever. He couldn't even win Hamilton County, and I believe he was mayor of Cincinnati, and he's like this fake centrist whatever type of guy. So Nan Whaley's going to lose big time in the general, but sadly she's going to lose to Mike DeWine, who won with 48% of the vote, but you had a ridiculous amount of vote splitting. And it's shameful that Trump couldn't get Renacci and Blystone to come to an agreement, or that they couldn't come to an agreement together. Thankfully, Republicans do have 2/3 plus in the state legislature. They can veto a lot of legislation for DeWine. Hopefully they do that more in the second term, especially as DeWine's probably going to move a little bit even more establishmentarian because he doesn't have to worry about getting reelected. But it is shameful. DeWine has been an office climber his entire career. He was a senator, then he was attorney general when he lost, and then he came back to be governor because of a weak field. And he won again, and it's really a sad thing to see the fact that there's no runoff in this race. I know sometimes runoffs will screw over good candidates, but in this race it would have most likely helped, and Trump probably would have made an endorsement for the runoff, and DeWine probably would have lost by 20 points or so in that runoff, even though it's an open primary. But it goes to show that these voters, a lot of the voters that turned out, are America First Republicans. And we absolutely love to see it. With all the crossover voting and everybody in the establishment throwing their support behind Matt Dolan, the guy couldn't even get 25% of the vote. And it's awesome. And over 1 million Republicans turned out, 1.06 million almost turned out. And on the Democrat side, you had 510,000. And that's huge. They more than doubled them. And in 2018, if you look at this, Republicans did have the advantage, but at the same time, they only ended up winning by, like, I guess you would say 150,000 votes at most. So you look at that and you do the comparison. The energy is shifting drastically, and it is. And we'll talk about Roe v. Wade later this week, because there's a lot of questions. Will it impact the midterms, this, that, and the other thing? And it might raise Democrat turnout in some places, but at the end of the day, this is still going to be a wave that's on. And I think saving the lives of the unborn is far more important than any remedial election victory. But that's beside the point. We'll analyze that more in depth. But you look at this and you see the fact that Vance did well everywhere. Trump's influence really did reign supreme, and you do love to see that. And it's sad that he was not able to make an endorsement for the governorship. But thankfully, 2026, you might get Warren Davidson or somebody else running for governor, and you could get a massive upgrade. But it's a shame that that couldn't have been done this cycle. But again, for the governor's race, I predicted DeWine would get 46%. He got a little bit more than that, mainly because I overestimated Ron Hood. But if you look at the other percentages, I said Renacci would end up with 28.7. He got 28. I said Blystone would end up with 21.5. He got 21.8. So we pretty much nailed down the percentages to a T in a lot of these races, and you do love to see it. So another good point of news is that J.R. Majewski, who is an America First candidate, will arguably be the best congressman in the Ohio delegation when he wins the general this November, but he won the primary, which is huge. I don't even believe he got the Trump endorsement, yet he still won, but he's America First through and through. He wants to limit immigration, legal and illegal. He's tough on election integrity. He's very tough on big tech. You love to see him win. Max Miller won in the 7th district. And Miller's all right. He's going to be an upgrade from Anthony Gonzalez for sure. But Jonas Scholz was the individual who was the best candidate in that race, and it's sad that he fell a little bit short. But more news is that Madison Gisioto Gilbert won in the 13th district. She's been weak on crime, and she's also been very weak on immigration, just like your 2019 run-of-the-mill like TPUSA talking points repeating congresswoman. So it's unfortunate that she got nominated, but it's not entirely the end of the world when you take everything into consideration, the fact that you got Majewski in there, you got Vance in there. And on the left side, it's funny, Chunk Yogurt's favorite candidate, Nina Turner, who now, after losing this time, believes that she will be running for president in 2024. Very delusional. She got, I believe, even a lesser share of the vote against Shontel Brown than she did last time. The Bernie wing of the party is in complete shambles. Also, in terms of Indiana, Jennifer Ruth Green was nominated in the 1st district. A lot of people are saying she's the most electable for that district. It is a Democrat-leaning district, so it is very possible that that district could flip in the fall. Also, Greg Pence, which is Mike Pence's brother, won handily with Trump's endorsement. Again, he's not exactly his brother. He's his own man. But still, 22.4% of the party voted against him. And I wonder how much of that has to do with the fact that his last name is Pence. I really don't know. But that's really what it comes down to. So beyond that point, Indiana, Ohio, you look at these races, a great night for Republicans overall. It's a shame they could not get rid of DeWine, but you see Vance triumph. You see the fact that DeWine is held below 50, and you see the fact that Majewski won. Overall, was a good night, I would have to say. And the primary season is just underway. And it really just shows that America First is the winning strategy, and that's what Republicans need to rally behind. And because Vance won the primary, I can almost guarantee you're going to see a Trump endorsement for Blake Masters come in the next couple months. He doesn't have to endorse him right away because the primary, I believe, is in like mid-August, but he probably should endorse him by the end of June. And if you see that, I think that would be a very positive development. But you see Vance winning in Ohio. He will cruise to a 12-point election victory over Tim Ryan. Josh Mandel's political career is over. He can get back to cross-dressing and cheating on his wife. And then Matt Dolan's political career is also over. So crisis really averted there because Dolan was the worst on policy overall. But that's just the way that it is. It was an interesting night, and the red wave is coming. It is still inevitable. And it shows that it's going to be an America First wave more so than not. Does Vance have a perfect past? Not necessarily, but he's winning me over. He's won a lot of people over, and I look forward to having him in the Senate because he will be instantly a top 5 senator. And that's saying something because a lot more senators that are going to be coming in are going to be vast improvements over the current senators that we have in terms of a lot of these open seats. And Trump, again, 22-0 on endorsements last night. Pretty good. But anyways, guys, thanks for watching. Make sure you like this video down below, comment down below, subscribe to the channel, hit the bell for notifications so you never miss another video. Follow me on social media. The links are all in the description down below. And buy the merch and join the website as well. As always, guys, thanks for watching. Red Eagle, out.